Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk, back another video day, and today I'm going to be doing my NFL Week 10 picks and predictions. Let's get into it. Now I'm 88-50 on the season. Went 12-3 with my game picks last week. Probably, I think, my best week of this entire season. So that was great. Although, it was a easy prediction week, to be honest. So not that impressive. I mean, I've seen people do better than 12-3. I saw someone that went 14-1. So it was my best week of the season, but I will say it was an easy week to make predictions. A lot of easy picks with, the favorites. So let's get into this week's predictions, because I will tell you this: it was easy last week. It's definitely hard this week. So let's get into it. Starting off Thursday night's game, they're just going to start pretty soon. The Bengals and the Ravens. It's going to be a great football game. It's hard. It's so hard to predict. The Bengals-Ravens game was so close last time in Cincinnati earlier in the season. And, I want to pick the Ravens because it feels weird for them to start off 6-4 with how good their team has looked. But at the same time, I feel like the Bengals get back to 500 with a win. And I don't see for some reason, I don't see Joe Burrow losing twice to the Ravens in a season. But I think this is a shootout game. This is not just because I'm picking the Bengals. This is not a game where I think this is not a game where I think the Bengals are going to have it easy. I think their run defense has been really bad. I think that's where Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson are going to attack. Of course, that's going to be a weak spot for this Bengals defense. And Zay Flowers is most likely going to be a weak spot as well, since he just killed them last matchup. I'm also excited for Deontay Johnson this game because we didn't see a lot from him in his first game as a against the Broncos. And I honestly think he might have a big night. I'm excited for him tonight. Watch out for Deontay Johnson. But and I know the Bengals are unlikely to have T. Higgins tonight, but I just see Joe Burrow having a big night, and I think him and Jamar Chase are going to carry the Bengals to a win. But I think this is a very lopsided bet or pick. Just with the Bengals and the Ravens both being good football teams going up against each other. It's going to be an interesting one. And another thing is these division matchups are always so close when you got two good divisional teams, and sometimes when there's a lot of history, a lot of good shootouts between two divisional teams like the Bengals and the Ravens, it's really so hard to make a prediction. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. Sunday morning, it's easy like Sunday morning. We got the Giants and the Panthers, although this is not very easy like Sunday morning, because these are two terrible football teams. The Giants, looked solid. They looked solid to start off the year, and just recently it's been terrible. Daniel Jones, last week, I'll never forget looking at this Giants score and seeing a stat. I don't think I've ever seen a stat like this. And I looked over to my dad and said, I don't think I've ever seen a stat line like this. He's 4 for 4. He's perfect with all of his throws. That's tremendous. And he has a touchdown pass. But how many yards has he thrown? Nada. 0. Not one passing yard. I've seen some crazy stat lines, but never have I seen a quarterback start off a game 4 for 4, throw a touchdown pass, but have 0 passing yards. So that was crazy. Look, even though Dan Jones had a bad start in the first half, he was terrible. He had a good second half. But I think, to me, in this game, I'm going with the Panthers. This game is in Germany, so Panthers are considered the home team, but they're not really the home team. But I'm going with the Panthers, and here's why. The Giants' run defense has been terrible this year. Absolutely terrible. And knowing that, and I watched a little bit of the Saints-Panthers game. And here's what I can say. And I've seen it before, this matchup. Chuba Hubbard is a monster. This guy can play. And it looks like they're going to be getting Jonathan Brooks back as well. And I've watched a lot of Jonathan Brooks, being a Longhorns fan. Hook 'em. So with the Giants' run defense being terrible and Chuba Hubbard playing the way he's playing right now, and then potentially getting Jonathan Brooks back, this Panthers team, I'm predicting that they're going to have a monster day on the run. And look, the Giants can try to compete with that with Malik Neighbors and Daniel Jones and try to match that. But I think this run offense for the Panthers with Hubbard, who's averaging over 5 yards per carry, more than 5 yards per carry, and then Jonathan Brooks, who was just a stud at college. I think that's going to be too much for this Giants run defense that has really struggled this year. I'm going with the Panthers. All right, next we got the Patriots and the Bears. I'm going with the Chicago Bears. I know it's been pretty tough for the Bears these last couple weeks, but at home against the Patriots, the Bears will get back on the win column. 49ers, Buccaneers. This is a tough one to predict. Buccaneers at home. Looks like Mike Evans could play in this one, although I don't think he will. CMC is back for the 49ers. I'm going with the 49ers to win, but I think with this being a home game for the Buccaneers, I think it's a little bit closer game than people would think. Chiefs, Broncos. I know the Broncos just absolutely had their butts handed to them against the Ravens, and the Chiefs could barely beat a Buccaneers team without their top 3 wide receivers. I think this is going to be an interesting one. I expect a very close game. I'm going with the Chiefs, very close game. If you're wondering, okay, well, the Broncos couldn't beat the Ravens, got beat by 31. What makes you think the Chiefs and the Broncos are going to be close if you think, if the Chiefs were better than the Ravens? Here's number one. Like I've said, these division games, are usually, closer than a blowout. And the Chiefs, even though they're undefeated and they have an 8-0 record, they have not had blowout wins this year, like dominant teams like the Ravens and the Lions have had. Like the Lions beat the Cowboys by 38, they beat the Titans by 38 as well. They've had some big blowout wins. The Ravens have done the same too. The Chiefs have not done that. The Chiefs' biggest win is beating the New Orleans Saints, who I consider the worst team in football, by 13. That's their biggest win. A lot of one-score games. I mean, look at the Chiefs' last 2 games, only beating the Raiders by 7, only beating the Bucs without their top 3 wide receivers by 6 in overtime. Keep in mind, those are 2 teams this Broncos team beat. 2 teams that this Broncos team absolutely beat the crap out of. The Broncos absolutely destroyed the Bucs, a healthy Bucs, in week 3 of the season. And that was a healthy Buccaneers with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan. That was with their top 3 wide receivers. And that also, not to mention, that was a game in Tampa Bay and not in Kansas City. And then against the Las Vegas Raiders, what did they do? They beat them badly. It was like 20-something. So those are I just mentioned the last two games for the Chiefs where they barely won by 1 score against 2 bad teams. I mean, the Bucs when healthier, they're not a bad team, but when the Bucs don't have Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan, or Chris Godwin, they are not a good team. I'm sorry, Baker's a great quarterback, but without those 3 guys, he's still a solid quarterback, but there's not much he can do. They're not a good team without those 3 guys. So, or they shouldn't be playing a close game against the Kansas City Chiefs is what I'm trying to say. Same thing goes for the Raiders, who are a terrible team as well. And those are 2 teams the Broncos absolutely beat the crap out of. So that's why I think this will be a close game. But I am going to, give the edge to the Chiefs just because they're at home. I think if this game was in Denver, I would 100% be taking the Denver Broncos to hand the Chiefs their first loss. And I think this has an upset. This has upset written all over it. But I'm going with the Chiefs. All right, Bills, Colts. I'm going with the Bills. Even though the Colts have a solid record, their defense is terrible. I think Joe Flacco will play better this week than he did last week. But I still think the Bills get a good win. This might be a little bit of a closer game than people think just because it's a home game for the Colts, but I got the Bills getting a win. My hardest prediction of the week, Steelers, Commanders. This is so hard. You got Jaden Daniels against a great defense in Pittsburgh. Look, I have said many times this season, I think this might be the week where we see Jaden Daniels calm down a little bit because he's going up against great defense. I said that earlier in the season when he went up against Cleveland. I said that some other time too this year when he was going up against a good defense. I can't remember. There was another time I said this too. I mean, there have been many times this year where, okay, I'm thinking he's going up against a better defense. He might play solid football, but I don't think he's gonna do as good going up against this defense. I said it against the Bears when he went up against the Bears. I also said it when he was going up against the Ravens, and so the teams I was thinking about, it was when he went up against the Bears, he went up against the Ravens, he went up against the Browns. When he went up against those teams, in my head I was thinking, okay, these are some good defenses. Are we going to see him go down to earth? And what happened in those games? He absolutely killed the Browns defense. Even though the Browns are a bad overall team, their defense is good. Killed them. Ravens, it was a close game against Baltimore. They did a really good job against Baltimore. And then, obviously, Chicago, I think he actually kind of struggled against Chicago for the most of the game. But what did he do at the end of that game? Just pulled off a miracle. So he kind of did struggle a little bit against Chicago until the end of the game. But still, it was he has shocked me at times this year. So I feel like if I go and say, okay, I feel like he's going to calm down a little bit because he's playing this Pittsburgh's defense. He has to go up against T.J. Watt. That's gonna be another one where I kind of swing and miss at. But to me, it just feels different than others. I mean, like the Ravens' defense is good. The Browns' defense before they got rid of Zadarius Smith, very solid. Bears' defense really really good too. But as much as I like those defenses, Browns have Myles Garrett. He's a monster. Ravens have some really good, solid defensive players, and so do the Bears. But I don't think any of those guys on any of those defenses, even though I love Myles Garrett, compare to the monster that T.J. Watt is. Also, Pittsburgh has a good secondary. They have an all-around great defense. And at times, Washington defense has been able to play really good football this year, but they have had their struggles from time to time in the past, going up against past games. And I feel like Pittsburgh gets a win here, but this is such a hard prediction to make. But I'm really going to go with Pittsburgh to win this game. Nothing has to do, nothing against Washington or Jane Daniels. It is mainly because of number 90, T.J. Watt. All right, Vikings, Jaguars, Vikings all day, no Trevor Lawrence. I would have picked the Vikings even if they didn't have Trevor Lawrence. Falcons, Saints. Saints' first game at home without their terrible head coach Dennis Allen. Darren Rizzi being the new interim head coach. But going up against the Falcons get a W. Maybe there's a little bit of a closer game just because it's a home game for a home game for the Saints. But I think the Falcons probably get a 2-score win here. Titans, Chargers. I actually think this is a close game. Even though the Titans are a not great football team, I think the Titans keep it close. The Titans' pass defense this year has been very good. I think I expect J.K. Dobbins to have a big game for the Chargers in this one. And, J.K. Dobbins helped them get a win. I think the Chargers win this football game. But I think with the Titans' pass defense being as good as they are, I think that keeps them in the game. And ultimately, the Chargers end up winning this game in a close one against the Titans. Jets, Cardinals, Jets team that I think looked the best they've looked since adding in Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers looked really good in that game. Garrett Wilson looked really good against my Texans. The Cardinals have looked really good as of late, but I'm going with the Jets to win. All right, Eagles, Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys so much, but I'm about to. This is mainly a joke, but I feel like the Cowboys get a win here. The Cowboys have sucked at home this year, but that has not been the case most of the time this year. But I don't know why. I just have this weird feeling. What I saw from Cooper Rush at the end of that game last week, I had this weird feeling like Cooper Rush is going to come into Dallas and show us all that, okay, Dak Prescott really sucks, and we're a all right team and I can get us to a win. I mean, I just had this weird feeling like Cooper Rush is going to come in and carry the Cowboys to win. It's just my weird feeling, though. Although I know this prediction is going to be wrong because the Cowboys' run defense absolutely sucks, and they're going up against Saquon Barkley. I know this prediction is going to be wrong, and I knew that going into this prediction. I'm still not going to change it, just because Cooper Rush gives me this weird feeling like he's about to do some stuff and show us all Dak. Our team isn't the problem. Dak was the problem. And honestly, as much as I hate the Cowboys, I would love the Cowboys to win this game because I think I dislike Dak Prescott more than I do the Cowboys as a franchise, just because of how bad of a quarterback he is. Also, how he took that money and has played like crap. And to be honest with you, I actually kind of like Cooper Rush. I remember a couple years ago watching him in 2022, having the success he had while Dak was hurt. I actually, as a Cowboys hater at that time as well as always I've been, I was like, okay, this guy can play. And he can go up against good teams and win. And that's why I'm confident or don't feel completely stupid picking him to go in and get a win. Like, this was mentioned the other day when he was playing against the Falcons, came in for Dak, is that this guy went in to Minnesota on a Sunday night football game against Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson and beat those guys, the Vikings, who are a great football team with Kirk and Justin Jefferson in the squad that they had. So he's been capable to win football games for the Cowboys when Dak has been hurt. I can see that continuing. But here's the only problem. The defense is different than it was then, right? The defense absolutely has sucked this year. That was not the case 2 years ago when Cooper Rush was the quarterback. So that's going to hurt. And so we'll see how it goes. But I know this is going to be a loss, but I'm just going for it. All right, Lions, Texans. I know this is going to be another one that I lose, but I'm not going against my football team. I'm going with the Texans. I feel like the Texans, even though they really struggled against the Jets, they're getting more healthy this week. They're getting guys back, starting with Nico Collins. And they're at home compared to being on the road against the Jets. Jets, even though the Jets are not a great football team, they're really good with their pass defense. So, not going to lie, I kind of expected it to be a tough one for the Texans against the Jets. I know the Lions are a better football team than the Jets are, but the Texans are going to be more complete this week, getting Nico Collins and other players for the defense back. And I think that will help their football team and being back at home. All right, final pick, Dolphins, Rams. I've said it before, the Dolphins are a completely different football team when Tua's back healthy, because Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill look absolutely terrible without him, but they look absolutely amazing when he's on the field. So I think as an offense, they're completely different with those, when Tua's back, because those two guys are playing better football. Waddle's playing better football. But it's the same thing with the Los Angeles Rams when their guys are healthy. When Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are healthy, this offense is just as great as well. So we're going to get the treat on Monday night to watch two teams that have been banged up for a good part of the season, with Miami losing Tua and, having guys struggle because of that. And then the Rams, having Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua on IR. And now really for the first time in a while, both teams are healthy. I mean, this is going to only be their third game since the two, everybody's been healthy. I mean, the Rams have only played 2 games of being fully healthy against the Seahawks and the Vikings. And really, one of those games, Puka didn't even play most of the game because he got ejected. And then the Dolphins have played 2 games of being fully healthy since Tua got hurt, against the Cardinals and the Bills. So third game back for all being healthy on their team. And I'm going with the Rams since they're at home, and I think this will be a very good game on Monday night. Let me know your thoughts on my predictions in the comment section, and peace out.